Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the NUS Residential and Student Life Sharing Webinar. I am Grace, and I'll be your MC for today. Thank you for taking time to join us. The sharing you will hear this evening will be presented by the Dean of Admissions, Professor Goh Say Song, and Dean of Students, Associate Professor Ho Han Kiat. After their presentations, there will be a Q&A segment with Prof. Goh, Prof. Ho, and two NUS students. So if you have any questions, we greatly appreciate if you could write them down in the Q&A tab below, and we will answer them towards the end of this webinar. Thank you for your patience. Professor Goh Say Song is the Dean of Admissions at the National University of Singapore. A mathematician by training, he received his honours degree from the University of Oxford in 1988 and his master's and PhD degrees from the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor in 1990 and 1992 respectively. He joined NUS's Department of Mathematics in 1994. He is highly passionate about education and has received numerous teaching awards, including the University Outstanding Educator Award in 2009. His research interests are on the theory and application of wavelets, approximation theory, and harmonic analysis. He also participates in interdisciplinary research involving the practical use of mathematics. Associate Professor Ho Han Kiat is the Dean of Students at the National University of Singapore and an academic staff of the Department of Pharmacy. He received his Bachelor of Science in Pharmacy with first-class honours, along with the Lee Kuan Yew Gold Medal and Chalmers Medal as the top graduate. Prof. Ho became one of the pioneer recipients of the A-Star Overseas Graduate Scholarship and obtained his PhD in medicinal chemistry from the University of Washington. Over the years, as a faculty member, he has published more than 90 papers in internationally recognized journals and has won multiple university-level Teaching Excellence Awards, including the Outstanding Educator Award in 2020. He was also recently recognized for his research by winning the 2020 Distinguished Alumni Award for Excellence in Pharmaceutical Sciences and Research, conferred by the University of Washington School of Pharmacy. So without further ado, let's begin the session. Prof. Goh, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Grace, for the nice introduction, and a very warm welcome to all of you, prospective students or incoming students of NUS. Now, it is really a great pleasure for me to be able to speak to you this evening together with my colleague, Prof. Ho, the Dean of Students. Now, let me first share my slides first, and then we will get going. Today, the key speaker is actually my colleague, Prof. Ho Han Kiat. So I will just give you a broad overview just to frame your thinking about how are you going to plan your NUS experience. Now, I think many of you have actually attended some of my other webinars before. You have heard about the academics, about financial aid. At the same time, and with a course of study, you have many choices. Academics, which is one of our 60 bachelor's degree programs. But the university education is much more than just purely academics. There are other aspects, other wonderful aspects which is the focus of this evening's webinar, student life. At the same time, some of you may be thinking about staying on campus. So we have essentially 5 types of on-campus accommodation and more than 15 different on-campus locations. At the same time, some of you may be thinking about how to complete your NUS education, have a global exposure. We have well connected with more than 300 partner universities in more than 40 countries. And that you can spend 1 semester or 1 year under the student exchange program, or you can even go for summer and winter programs. And at the end of the day, we take your employment very seriously. We prepare you for your future. So that is the snapshot of the entire NUS experience that you are going to enter very soon. But this evening, let's focus on 2 aspects, student life and on-campus stay. So let me move on to talk a little bit about student life. Our student life is actually very vibrant. You get to connect with like-minded peers who will challenge you, cheer you on, make lifelong friendship, and you have areas that can cover ranging from the music, the arts, special interest group, sports, communities, service. Essentially, what you're interested in, most likely we will have it. And we have two student representatives here tonight, and they will actually tell you a lot more about the vibrant student life. The other things that we are very interested in, which many of you are now seriously thinking, I would like to actually have a complete NUS experience. I want to look into the possibility of on-campus accommodation. What are the types? Now, like I said, essentially 4 types or 5 types. Now, let me walk you through very quickly. Those of you with parents who were former NUS graduate, I'm sure they remember the halls of residence. Halls of residence, you get a place to stay, you have lots of activities. Then there was something new about more than 10 years ago, what we call residential colleges. Residential colleges, you get a place to stay, you have lots of activities, plus you have classes there. And typically a residential college, you can take about 5 modules there, 5 out of your 40 modules. The really new kick on the block is NUS College. NUS College, you have a place to stay, lots of activities, and you have a lot more intensive, immersive curriculum. And that is NUS College. And you will be staying in one of the residential colleges as well. So that's why when you apply for the accommodation for NUS College, it's actually under a residential college too. And then after that, there is a student residence, a place to stay, less activities, but nevertheless, a very nice international community that you make friends with. And something else, something new, houses. And that is another innovation. So you can see that our on-campus accommodation has actually changed quite a lot. And this evening webinar will focus on halls of residence, residential colleges, student residences, and houses. NUS College, now some of you will actually have an offer already, guaranteed accommodation. You just need to apply when the time comes, and then that is the moment, and that NUS College have their own engagement session. So this evening we'll focus on the other 4 types. And I'm not going to tell you a lot more because I'm not the expert. My friend, Prof. Ho Han Kiat, is the expert. I'll let him do the talking. And instead, let me focus a little bit about, for those of you who actually needs financial support for on-campus stay, what are the aid that is available? So we have bursaries and grants to support students who are interested in on-campus stay. So essentially, there are 4 types that they can support. The first type is the residential program bursary. Residential program bursary, and these are for Singapore citizens, essentially for those who are staying in the halls of residence or the houses. And essentially, students will get the residential program bursary. Quantum ranges from $500 to $4,020, depending on the financial need of the student. There's the other type, which is if it happened that you wanted to stay in one of our residential colleges, you can apply for the residential college bursary. So this actually applies to the residential colleges. So that is the second type. And residential colleges, the bursary with the quantum go up to $5,000 per annum. And this again depends on the financial needs and the nationality of the applicant. So for residential college bursary, it also opens to the non-Singaporean. Then there's a new enhancement, which we call Opportunity Enhancement Grant. Opportunity Enhancement Grant is something that we're going to start this year in 2022. And what is that? That is actually a top-up, a $10,000 top-up for students with per capita income of up to $690 over 4 years. And you can use it to top up for on-campus stay and financial and overseas program. What do I mean by top up? Because the residential program bursary, the residential college bursary covers quite a substantial amount of your payment for the on-campus stay. But there's still a little bit of a shortfall. So this little bit of shortfall, we do not want the students who are in financial difficulty to miss this chance of staying on campus. So we come up with this Opportunity Enhancement Grant that you can hold a residential program bursary or the residential college bursary. And after that, the balance, you can use your opportunity enhancement grant to top up. And that is the third type. The fourth type, the hall bursaries, the residential college grants. Now, the respective halls and respective residential colleges, they have their own bursary, they have their own grants. And this is actually offered by individual halls and individual colleges, and that you can actually apply directly to the individual halls and colleges. But the first three types, residential program bursary, residential college bursary, opportunity enhancement grant, all of them, you will apply together with your NUS bursary that is hosted by my office, Office of Admissions and Financial Aid. So you can find out more information from this QR code. And this is all I'm going to say as a brief introduction. And like I said, your university education is actually a journey. And I apologize that suddenly the journey took much longer than expected, and suddenly I went out of the screen. I got kicked out of Zoom. But my last remark here is this: the university experience is a journey. For me, as the Dean of Admissions, I am just the starting point of your journey. The next stage of your journey, your faculties, your courses of study, and then you have student life. And that's where my colleague, Professor Ho Han Kiat, will take you through the next stage of your NUS journey. So Prof Ho, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof Goh. I hope you can hear me clearly. Okay, when Prof Goh lost some connection, I thought it was my connection problem as well. So good evening, everyone. I'm very happy to be one of the first to welcome you to NUS. And in fact, for me, it's a great honor to be sharing the stage with Prof Goh, whom I count very much as one of my mentor in my early career in NUS. So both Prof Goh and myself hail from the Faculty of Science, although different department. And I think from his engagement with students, I really learned what it means to be student-centric, to put students first in all the things that we do. And I continue to learn from him today. Well, the focus of today is about residential life. Now, what can I say about residential life, and why am I a suitable person to be talking about this subject? You know, for many years in my career here in NUS, I've actually stayed on campus. In fact, I will show you this slide over here that reflected some of the lives that I spent together with my family as I performed the role of a residential fellow in Raffles Hall. You know, Raffles Hall is one of the halls of residence on campus, and it is one that is rich in cultural heritage. Particularly, it is one known to produce original musical productions on a yearly basis. And in my role, it opened up my mind as I engaged the student to be able to see the limitless potential when students decide to blend their skills and put all their passion together and put forth original musical year after year. I go away realizing that actually none of all this would have been possible if there is no local community that can bring people of common interest together. And hence, I think residential life, to me, is not just a good to have, but for NUS, I think this is a game changer if we want to continue to strive for holistic education for all of us. Let me just walk you through these pictures and what they actually mean to me. If you look at the picture on the top right-hand side, this is one of the graduation dinner that we had on a year-on-year basis. And clearly this happened before the pandemic. So this is a time where we get together with the students' leader and we celebrate the success that they had for the year. As we wrap up the year in this graduation dinner, we all gown up and we look back and reminisce over all the things that we have done and achieved together. The students celebrate and we are their best cheerleader. And therefore, this brings to mind that all the experience actually would not have been possible if we do not work closely with the students. As resident fellow, working among the students in the hostel, we really get to know them up close and personal and to see the kind of passion as well as challenges that they may have, both inside, but more importantly, outside of the classroom. Going clockwise, the picture on the bottom right also brings back a lot of important memories. As I said that I belong to Raffles Hall that is known to produce original musical year after year. And we take this job very seriously. And every year when the students put together a musical, at the point of having the whole storyline, we will engage an external consultant. That's the person on the extreme left, Dr. Kenneth Lien, and he will come in to listen to the entire storyboard and provide his critique and how we can turn this into an effective musical production. And oftentimes, this pitching session will run late into the evening, but we go away feeling very satisfied because we know that whatever the students have put together is clearly endorsed by an expert in the field, and that gives them the confidence to move forward with that whole plan. And moving further clockwise, we have this picture that was taken just outside our cultural center where the actual musical performance was eventually put together. And that was the night we celebrate the success. And what you see in the picture was actually producers from different badges of a student production. And alumni come back, past producers come back and to celebrate the success of the subsequent badges. While watching the next version of the musical, they released the good memories that they all had. And of course, for me, to reconnect with them was another good reason for me to be there that evening to enjoy that moment. And final picture, which looks very similar to the one on the bottom right, is similar but different. This was where, after doing a few rounds of musical production, we realized that, hey, while we do this out of interest and for fun, what if we can actually turn this into a subject that the students can take credit for? So, and we did exactly that about 8 years ago. Musical production became a subject, a co-curricular subject, so to speak, that the students can take for credits. So they learn about the mechanics behind musical production. And at the end of that semester, different groups actually put up micro musical, just a 7-minute long musical, using all the different knowledge and skills that they have picked up along the way. So can you imagine, even myself, coming from a background of pharmaceutical science, I actually participated as one of the instructors to teach one component of musical production. And how did I manage that? Well, I just learned along the way over the 7 years of guiding them through all these experiences. You know, I spent quite a amount to talk through this slide, essentially to bring up one important point. You know, this was a season of my life where I served as a resident fellow. And it is not just the beautiful memories that I cherish today, even though I'm done with that duty. But actually, that 7 years has also changed my worldview about the value of residential life and how it is actually important and will transform tertiary education in both tangible and intangible ways. And because student life essentially is what enriched the whole university experience to make this a complete higher education for all of you. In fact, one of the reality that dawned upon me now getting out of that whole pandemic era is that sometimes the value of a physical university is being questioned. If lectures can turn online, if most of the learning, including assessment, can turn online, and in fact, you will come to realize that even internship can be done online, why do we still need a physical university? But the only thing that I can safely say is that one aspect that cannot be replaced, physical experience is still necessary, will have to be student life. And that, therefore, is an important component that we must seek to include as part of the university journey. Now, today we are going to talk about two aspects, mainly on residential life, but not forgetting that beyond residential life, there are also student activities and student life in a non-residential setting. And therefore, the two aspects put together is what constitute campus life for us. So I will say a little bit about the student life before spending more time on residential life. In terms of student life, it's the Office of Student Affairs. We oversee more than 200 student clubs and society, as well as interest groups. And there's also more than 60 sports groups that you can participate, both at the recreational level as well as at the competitive level. In addition, there are also many ad hoc groups formed by students who may just choose to come together to do community engagement projects together to address specific need for a season or for a semester. Importantly, all these groups allow students to come together on the pure basis of a common interest and an identity. And on those things that bring them together, they can put forth activities and use that as a platform to showcase their talent. There's a QR code here, so I would invite you to also scan that QR code, which will lead you to a landing page of all our student organizations so that you can begin to plan out the exciting university student life experience that you can include as part of your journey with us. So that's as much as I will say about the non-residential setting. So now moving on to residential life. Following on from what Prof. Goh has already said, there are a few major types of housing that we have prepared for the students. But importantly, I think you have come at an exciting time of transformation where we are also formally introducing 4 distinct housing models, hoping that each of these models will suit some specific students and so that you can pick and choose according to what fit in best to your interests and your inclination. We believe there's no one-size-fits-all accommodation. So with the various options that we have, it will give you enough flexibility to choose from. And hopefully across all of them, there will be sufficient diversity to meet everyone's need. Here, there is also another separate QR code that I will also encourage you to bookmark it for now and to watch it at your own time. It's about a 5-minute clip, and it will feature student leaders who represent each of the 4 main models that we are talking about over here. And in fact, one of them who spoke in that video, Miss Natalia, she's also here to respond to some of the questions that you may have in person. So we will leave that part till later. But just to sum up what this whole hostel transformation is all about, I'll attempt to explain all using one single slide. So 4 main types of housing options. Let's start with the one with the longest history, and that's the halls of residences. Many of these halls of residence have existed for several years. In fact, for the one with the longest history, King Edward VII Hall is almost 100 over years old. So that's a very long duration. So with that long history comes with rich heritage. Therefore, what this halls of residence can offer is really to allow you to plug into a community that draw from years of experiences. And as you go through those activities, you feel that you are riding on the shoulders of giants who have been there and done that. And together with that rich heritage is also the many alumni that remain very plugged in into the community. Coming back to Raffles Hall, where I spent 7 years as a resident fellow, we often have many of the long-time alumni to return, not only to engage the students in activities, but many of them come back and continue to be the mentor. Some will coach the current students in terms of the arts and science of putting together excellent musical production, and also sometimes participating and joining the current residents in performances together. So that's what the richness of the heritage in the halls of residence can offer you. Together with that, there's a whole range of CCA groups, both in the arts, in the culture, as well as in various sports, and also additional opportunities for community engagement. And when you are plugged into that community, you also feel like spending quality time to get to know all your neighbors. And that kind of engagement can take place through random chats on the hallway, or even going out for supper nights together. Now, moving on, we have the residential colleges. Today, we have 4 main residential colleges, and most of them started from 2010 onwards. So it's about a decade of history that we have so far. So not as rich in heritage as compared to the halls of residence, but they are unique in being intellectually driven, where each of the residential college will also include a thematic residential program, educational program that's part of the whole experience. So this allows you to plug into a learning community whereby you can enjoy your time in social activity and also classroom learning at the same time. And that classroom learning allows you to broaden on your lateral knowledge and to also see how for a given subject, a given topic, how students from different parts of the university may perceive them differently. And through that kind of an intellectual discourse, actually, you all learn together. So that's the residential colleges. Now, next we have the student residences. Well, this has got a slightly longer history, maybe at the turn of the millennium. That's when some of the PGPR, the Prince George's Park residence started. And then the U-Town residence started more recently, about 2010. Now, this were originally positioned as no-frills accommodation, meaning to say that if you just count yourself as someone who just want to be on campus, to have a place to stay, you may think that this is the place for you. Now, but yet, even if that is your intent, we realize over the past decade or so of experience that these residents staying in this kind of accommodation will also benefit from more pastoral care. In fact, we have recently enhanced the framework of student residences by putting in hall residence master and have them supported by a whole slew of resident fellow, just like the other halls of residence and residential colleges. The whole idea is that even in that residential setting, even in a no-frills accommodation where you are not expected to participate in many CCAs, that touch point through the masters and resident fellow will be important for them to provide that additional layer of safety nets and to meet the needs and to have someone to reach out to when you are in different types of challenges that may even arise from a residential setting, or if you are struggling in the academic programs. So that become an additional layer of mentoring that you can count on beyond your primary department advisors. So finally, it's a new concept that we have introduced most recently, and we call that houses. As of now, we have two houses. The first one called Pioneer House, and we are starting the second one called Lighthouse. Pioneer House actually was a program that piloted since 2017. So we are in the 5th year of this program. And with the past 4 to 5 years of experience, now we are quite certain that this is a worthy program and a worthy housing concept for us to expand on. And that's why with effect from this year, we officially promulgate this as a full-fledged housing model, and we are actively publicizing about it. So what is so special about houses as compared to the other type of hostel? Houses do not have compulsory meal plans. In other words, it offers a place to stay, but when it comes to meal time, students can pick and choose whichever other meal options are available for you on campus. You can just eat at any of the canteen. So why is this a benefit? Well, I think one of the strengths of this option is the flexibility. It allows the student not to be locked in terms of the time and also what they eat within their accommodation, but they can make use of that arrangement for them to gather in smaller groups, to spend quality time, to engage in other small group activities. So this house concept facilitates that and give the bandwidth and the time for students to do such things. In addition, the other initiative that emerged from the houses is a strong emphasis on the peer mentoring concept. This is where every resident will be accountable for one another, not in big groups, but in that smaller group concept which the facility allows for them to be plugged into that community and to mutually support each other. While all the students are engaged in different academic programs, the reality is that each of us may be facing challenges with our program at different times in our studies. So when you are in a community that actively look out for each other and ready to mentor each other, then you will feel that sense of support, that when sometimes you're overwhelmed, someone else could be there to pick you up. But there will also be other time where you in turn will be the one to support the rest. So this is a reinforced form of pastoral care where we allow students to take on more responsibility, and that will eventually help you build important life skills that you can carry through to the rest of your working career. So I think I've said a lot, and I would like to stop here and to allow you to ask questions, and I can see that many questions are already coming in. So I hope this sharing give you a glimpse of what it's like to be part of the residential community that we have to offer. And I hope that from this sharing, you would be able to find at least one model that really fit in to your own interests. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, Prof. Goh and Prof. Ho, for your sharing. We will now move on to the Q&A segment. We have especially invited two NUS students, Natalia and Yatban, to share with us today. Natalia is a fourth-year student pursuing a double major in Sociology and Social Work at the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences in the College of Humanities and Sciences. She enjoys volunteer work and is passionate about working with the community, having undergone 2 internships at a family service center and a youth center. Natalia is often engaged in the performing arts scene and is a final year member of BLAS, NUS Street Dance CCA. She is also actively involved in her residence, Pioneer House, and has served as a peer mentor and interest group president. Yatban is a second-year student majoring in computer science from the School of Computing. He is currently the president of the NUS Students Union and oversees key areas such as student welfare and representation. The NUS Student Union also has stake in academics, community service, student employability, students' mental well-being, and more. He was also previously the president of the NUS Student Computing Club. Personally, Yatban is known for his passion and interest for leadership and organizational management, and he has held student leadership positions since secondary school and through junior college. Prior to entering university, Yatban underwent leadership trainings during his national service and held a command position within the Singapore Armed Forces. He currently holds a key appointment in his reservist unit. So I'll hand the time over to Prof. Goh, who will be moderating this Q&A segment with Prof. Ho, Natalia, and Yatban. Prof. Goh, please.
Thank you, Grace. And really a very warm welcome to Natalia and Yatban. I think it's always very nice for our students to share their learning experiences with prospective students or incoming students. After all, you know that the NUS experience is beyond just academic. And you have heard from Prof. Ho's presentation that staying in the residences, that they are also learning experiences as well. So let's just hear from our two student representatives first. So ladies first, let's ask Natalia to say a few words to all of you. Natalia, please.
Hello everyone, so I'm Natalia. I just very recently concluded my studies at NUS, so I just finished my final year and I'm very glad to be here. So I've been staying in Pioneer House for all 4 years actually. So I stayed here from year 1 to year 4 and I've been very actively involved as a peer mentor and with the interest group as well. And as for NUS, I also have been involved in NUS-based CCAs, most especially, like mentioned just now, NUS Dance Blast. So yeah, I would say that there has been a very good work-life balance over here at NUS for me and I've enjoyed it very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Natalia. Yavan, over to you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Yatban. As previously mentioned, I'm just finished my year 2 studies so far. Currently, I hold the position of president of the NUS Student Union. So basically, like in the introduction, I manage a lot of student life activities, which you guys would probably be quite interested in. So anything related to orientation or related to activities that you might see when you come into school, I think those are things that you can ask. On top of that, I'm also a resident at the Ridgeview Residential College for the last 2 years. So I'll also be very participative over there in terms of the interest groups and activities. And if you have any questions regarding life over there, you can also ask me as well. Yeah. So you guys can have some good answers to your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think we have really very good combinations that Natalia actually stay at the house and then Yatban stay at the residential college. So maybe let's just start off with the first bit here. How was it like staying there? Now, obviously, I have not stayed there. So I think let's hear from Natalia and Yatban. And in particular, Natalia, you know that you stayed there for 4 years. 4 years is a long time. And you have walked your way up all the way now to be, a residential life person. And if you look at the video, you know, Natalia also appears on the student life video, which is very, very nice. And so Natalia, tell us more about your experience there.
So I would say that I had a really enjoyable experience all 4 years in Pioneer House. That's why I decided to stay all 4 years. In fact, right now I'm speaking from Pioneer House. Like I'm located right now in my room. So as a year 1, I really made a lot of very close friends in Pioneer House. And these are the friendships that stuck with me all the way till today. I really enjoy the environment over here. Like, I feel that it's a good mixture of being relaxed and at the same time I get to participate in activities that are vibrant and very fun. So every now and then there'll be events that we can participate in, like carnivals or like performances, talent shows. And then we can also join interest groups. So for me, I was part of the dance interest group and I was the dance head for one of the years as well. So it's a very good balance over here. And yeah, I really enjoy the little things that the halls have planned for us. My most memorable one actually was in year 2, where they planned a Bali trip for us to visit a village, and that was only like $50 each for everyone. So that was like, whoa, a steal, $50 for the entire thing. So flight inclusive, meal inclusive. I was like, wow. So yeah, I feel like I get a lot of opportunities over here that I wouldn't get elsewhere. And that's what I really like about being in the house.
I see. I saw that there was one question posted actually. What's the difference between Pioneer House and Lighthouse? This is the kind of things that many students will. You see, sometimes in life you have too many choices, and then suddenly you realize that okay, the different types which we're going to walk through it this evening, and then the different types, and then even like the traditional halls of residence, Shears Hall, Rifles Hall, and all these. So even the houses, there are two types. So maybe Natalia, based on your understanding, okay, no, I'm not going to ask you which one you like better, okay? I'm not going to put you on the spot. It's okay. So just tell us, what is the difference that you know of between Pioneer House and Lighthouse, so that our students, incoming students, can have a better understanding?
Actually, I think as of now, there are not really many tangible differences because, as mentioned earlier, the houses, they are a new model. So I would say that maybe Pioneer House, because it's the one that's established earlier, maybe there's a more like greater sense of grounding already as to like the direction, whereas Lighthouse is something completely new. So yeah, because it's something completely new, it's a fresh canvas, then I think it's really up to the people who join to determine what it's going to be like. So as of now, I would say not many tangible differences because it's very new. So yeah, it's up to the incoming freshmen to make it what you want it to be.
Yes. That is a very good advice.
To the answer too. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Natalia is correct. What I will add on to her response is that the reason why we have Lighthouse is because Pioneer House is successful. So the launch of Lighthouse is a testament to the good works that's already done in Pioneer House, and thanks to Natalia and all the other residents who have worked closely with the hall, with the hostel leadership. So therefore, what I'm trying to say is that Lighthouse emerged as a success of Pioneer House, and therefore conceptually is similar. And we would like Lighthouse to pick up the good points of Pioneer House and to establish themselves similarly but yet differently. And if you are someone who wants something tried and tested, then of course Pioneer House has a track record that's proven. But if you want to be part of a new entity and have a say to shape the future heritage of Lighthouse, then I think starting a new venture is always exciting, and it comes with that kind of opportunity. So it is your own appetite.
Yeah, I really echo this. You see, how many times in life that you have a chance to shape something new, and Lighthouse is an opportunity there. And in fact, the good thing about our education system is that we actually on campus, even in the classes, there are many opportunities to shape it to the way that you like. And so I really like what Prof Ho said, shape your future and shape it well. And let's move on to Yap Ban about residential colleges. Now, I'm going to replicate my questions. So firstly, what is the difference between your residential colleges and, let's say, staying in the halls of residence, the traditional halls, and more importantly, the differences between the residential colleges? I think we all understand that residential colleges, you have to take 5 modules of classes. That can be counted towards your general education requirement. That is, I think everybody knows by now, that is the extra thing. But what is the key difference between, the different types of residential colleges, the different entity there, and which one should you choose? So, Yapan, over to you.
Thank you. So I think Prof. Wu put it very well, the differences between halls and RCs, right? But I think maybe I would like to just speak a bit more practically as a student, what is exactly the differences that you might see between these two. So for residential colleges, it is a 2-year program where, as Prof. Wu mentioned, you'll be doing some modules that will contribute to your modular credits. So in that sense, it's a bit less stressful in the sense that you can just do your modules, and then you can participate in interest group and activities whenever you are during your free time. But on the other hand, halls are a little bit different in the sense that practically for students, there's they focus a lot more in terms of activities as well as CCAs. So there's actually a need for some students to participate in sufficient CCA activities within the halls to earn enough points for the stay. So in the sense that yes, it's a bit different because you're not as focused on the academia part, but on the other hand, that means that you will have to participate in the activities quite actively in order to sort of guarantee your second year stay. And that is really the defining difference between a hall and an RC. And I think people join the respective residences for that specific trade. I think to the second question as to what are the differences between each of the RCs, this is something that I perhaps can't answer fully, but I'll let you know that different RCs have different areas which they focus in, right? So the modules that are offered will vary from RC to RC, and usually within a certain RC there will be an overarching theme of what the program might be. So previously for me, I was from RBRC, and in my first year, the program was largely revolving around sustainability. So there's a lot of different projects that it's the G modules which are doing GE. Ours was GQ is questioning. So they'll basically sort of go towards the direction of modeling sustainability as well as the sustainability kind of thinking. So these are the specific traits between the different residential colleges. And I think I think the best way to see what RC fits you best is really to talk to some of the seniors and be able to understand from them what are the focuses that the RC is looking at and what are some of the modules that you'll be taking. And from there, this will sort of guide you towards where you think your interest might lie between all the different RCs.
I heard that there are some open houses that for the halls, the RCs, and so maybe Han Kiat, you can explain a little bit to our incoming students about how they can get all this information.
Upcoming, yeah. Okay, so I think each of the hostel will put forth some open house activity in the days ahead. In fact, I think the residential colleges already had theirs, but usually in the month of June, especially the first week of June, the different halls of residences will also have open day where students can come on site to look at how the environment is like. They have what we call an experience camp, where they do literally what the title describes, experience. You get to mingle with current residents, and in fact they may be out there doing some talent scouting to see who they would like to recruit into their as a freshman into the hostel. So do look out for some of these publicities that will be up and coming, and I think for the houses, both Pioneer House and Lighthouse, they will also be planning for something. So we'll keep you posted on those events as and when they come along.
Very good. And okay, I couldn't resist it, but there's one last part of my chain of question that I really need to ask. What are the differences among the different traditional halls that you have? Rifle saw, sheer saw, and I saw some of these questions actually being posted on the chat as well. So, and I think the culture, the heritage, and because they have been around a long time, and if you stay there, and maybe if your parents were NUS graduate, you could even stay at the same place as your parents when they were students. And I think the best person to answer this is, of course, Prof Ho, who is actually a former residential fellow at Raffles Hall as well. I remember his musical module that I remember very well about his musical module. So maybe I'll let Han Kiat tell you more about that.
Okay, thanks, Prof Go. Actually, by the way you introduced me to these questions, you're already setting me up to give a very biased response, right?
No. Now you're the dean of students. All are equally good, so there's no need to give a biased answer.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, I will try my best to be as neutral as possible. When it comes to heritage, when it comes to culture, it is very hard to say which is better. They are all different, and each culture or the strength of each hall will attract different types of students who align well with that particular heritage. I can highlight some differences. For example, in the case of Raffles Hall, perhaps because of the location where it is at, very centralized. So actually, there is a good spread of students from across the campus. So you see a well mix of students of different diverse background, and with that diversity, actually enrich their culture very much. Raffles Hall is one of the may not sound right, but I want to say one of the more cultured hall, but that's because they have a lot of different types of arts and performance type of activity, and they are good at that. Besides the musical production, it would also include things like running ensemble concert, which they will put forth as a combined hall event on a yearly basis, but it is held by Raffles Hall. On the other part of the campus, there are 4 hostels that are situated together. So you have the Yusof, Thematic, the Kenridge, and then Shears Hall. So being on that part of the campus, you can imagine there will be more students that who attend classes in that part of campus, situating themselves in those hostels. But many of these hostels, they are very vibrant in terms of sports. Sports culture is quite strong over there across all of them, and we do inter-hall competition, sports competition on a yearly basis. And sometimes over time, it sets up certain rivalry where they will pitch one against another. But these are healthy competition, because in sports, competition is what brings out the best in individual. So we celebrate their success and we celebrate their excellence in that way. So that's the other side. Then on this end of the campus, we have King Edward VII Hall, situated in the hill right across from the Prince George's Park residences, and also Lighthouse and Pioneer House. So due to its geographical location, you can imagine that it will draw a lot of students from this end of the campus, from science, from medicine, dentistry, and so on. So and in a way, it is away from the other hall, so it really is the king of the hill over there. And with time, it also create that kind of culture where a lot of people who are of healthcare background may associate themselves over there. As a student years ago, I was from King Edward VII Hall, but eventually as a staff, I served in Raffles Hall. Yeah.
So you can see that Prof Ho has stayed at many of these places at different juncture of his life. And I saw that among the audience, there were some students from NUS College. And then they were asking about where they're going to stay. And let me just clarify this for the students in NUS College. Now, NUS College, when you apply to NUS College is applied together in conjunction of the course of study. So that's why your offer for NUS College will come together with the course of study. So this is slightly different from the other like residential option. That residential option be essentially you got an offer after you have gotten an offer to NUS in a course of study. But NUS College, what you get is course of study with NUS College. And we will, based on your choices and based on the competition, we will give you the best possible options, the highest possible choice that you desire. So that is the first clarification I want to make. Second clarification, for NUS College, where are they going to stay? Now, NUS College, for the first year, all the students will stay in Cinnamon College. Cinnamon College is used to be hosting the University Scholars Program. It's one of the residential colleges as well. So for the first year, NUS College students will all stay in Cinnamon College. And then subsequent years, because they are guaranteed at least 2 years of the accommodation, then some of them will stay in the West Wing under our Yale NUS campus. So more details you can find out from the engagement events of NUS College, which I believe that for students who are offered at NUS College, you have access to this Discord platform, and the dates of the engagement are all there as well. So I thought that I should clarify this for students who are in NUS College. Now, there is a big question that I'm going to throw out, and most likely Prof. Ho is going to get this big question. The big question is, I think this is the last time he's going to come to my webinar. The big question is this. There were a lot of questions I saw in the registration asking about the whole point system, the activities commitment, and whether how can I guarantee myself a second year to live in the hall. So this is something that I believe that I noticed that even in the question asked, the most upvoted question is something that relates to that as well, the point system, the CCA point system. So, okay, thank you for your response. I saw a lot of students like my question, so I'll pass the time to Prof. Ho to answer this.
Okay. Well, the point system is a system set up in order for respective hostel to choose senior students to stay on. It's an open market. It's a free market, so to speak. And therefore the currency, whether it's inflated or not, depends on how many people participate in it. So it's a very fluid, a very dynamic system. But it is a fair system that if you would like to stay on, then you will have to stay ahead of the competition. You have to show that you have what it takes for the hostel to see that you will add value and would like to keep you in the system. But what I want to highlight up front is this. Please do not participate simply because you want to stay on. You should participate because you enjoy those activities. And that has to be the starting point. Because only when you are engaged in things that you truly enjoy, then that process will not be a burden to yourself. Because if you are trying to do activities simply to clock enough points to stay in, then you'll find that every commitment that you put in, you are just checking off the boxes, and it will not be a meaningful time spent for yourself, and it will not enrich you and grow you holistically as an individual. So I think what should come first is find the activity that you enjoy and participate in it because simply you like to do what you are doing. And when your heart is in the right place, doing the right thing, I think the hostel will see the value that you add, and hopefully that will be good enough to keep you on as a senior student.
Thank you, Han Kiat. I think this is a very, very good advice to our incoming student. And there's something that in the mind of many incoming students, they heard that there's so much activities in the halls or in the RCs, and then after that, when you go to your courses, to your classes, you have to do your homework, okay, you have the tutorial, and exams are coming. And so now a very delicate question is that how are we going to balance hall/student life with academics? Now, I should emphasize and highlight that studying in the university is very different from studying, let's say, in a JC. There is a big jump from JC to university. And also, some students may feel that, you can work hard in the last 6 months of, let's say, the pre-university education. But at the university, I think consistent work is very important. So now the question is that, let me check with our 2 student representatives. How do you balance between hall/student life with your academics? So, and Natalia is going to graduate, has done very well. So let's hear from her first. And then after that, we'll hear from Yapan.
I think, what is important is that the other activities you're involving yourself in, they should be things that you enjoy, like what was said just now. So it wouldn't feel so much of a burden when you're trying to balance it with your academics. So it can be seen as rather than a commitment that you have to go to and you must balance with your academics, it can be seen as a place for relaxation, a place where you're distressing from your acad. So that helps. So for me, for example, I'm in a dance CCA. So going there helps to take my stress off my acads. And then because I'm part of the house model, so over here in the houses, we also have peer mentors. So whenever I feel that I am facing difficulties in trying to balance my studies, or trying to balance my commitments. And then I can actually approach the peer mentors. So right now I'm one myself as well. So I can approach the other peer mentors as well and ask for some guidance. People will be willing to hear you out, help you. The peer mentors help you compile notes, share with you whatever academic experience they have as well. And I think that's something that's really helpful. Also in NUS, we have the reading weeks. So there's like, before the exam periods, usually there's like 1 week off. So that's a week where we can use to really consolidate our learning and focus on the upcoming exams, so it's not as stressful. And then I think most CCAs or other commitments, they also generally have, like, they will understand if you have academic commitments, if the upcoming is exam season, they will understand and tone down the sessions a bit so that people can focus on their academics. So it's not too much of a challenge and balancing acads and your other commitments.
And Yaban obviously has a lot of commitment as a NUS president. So how do you balance this, Yaban?
Okay, first of all, I'd like to just echo what Prof. Ho and Natalia has said about doing what you like. I think that's really a very big part of it. Because for me, myself, I know my job kind of requires me to always be like, on call to receive messages, to reply emails, but that is exactly why I like the job. And in a sense, I don't see it as more as like a chore. So I do enjoy the times that I spend on top of my studies to have to tend to these kind of things. Of course, on top of that, I think as a year one, there's a lot of there's going to be an overwhelming amount of CCAs and interest groups that you can join. So it might get daunting, and then you might want to choose to join a few, and then figure out later on whether you can actually code them. I think that's not a bad approach at all, actually. In fact, I feel that if you all know the system, there's actually an SU system in place, and there's actually quite a lot that is given to year one so that you can actually adapt to the university life. So actually, I would actually urge you guys to actually step out maybe of the comfort zone to try some of the things that you're really interested in, and try to be part of the interest groups or CCAs and see how it goes. Because at the end of the day, all these commitments are not like once you're in, you have to be in for 4 years, that kind of thing. You can always, after a year, you think this is not your vibe, or you think that you want to spend some time on other things, you can always choose to change it around and explore various aspects of student life within NUS. And so I think also when especially as year one, when the workload is slightly lower, you take the time to do this, because when you come to, like, let's say year 2 or year 3, when the workload goes up, or you're looking for internship, that obviously plays into your availability as well. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe before we turn on to other topics of interest, one last go at the residential life. Very important thing, room and board. So and the cost. So maybe our maybe Prof Ho or our students would like to tell the incoming students about roughly among the halls, the RCs, what are the approximate costs, which are the more affordable options, and also how's the quality of food actually. So maybe the more formal one, let's ask Prof Ho. Then quality of food, I'll let the students comment.
Okay, maybe we'll say that the rates of the hostel rooms are published, so you can refer to our hostel admission website to draw some comparison in terms of the cost. So the cost in a way is fair. There's a single room rate, there's a air conditioned and non-air conditioned rates, and so between those different levels of amenities that you have, then you will pay a different premium where necessary. Some halls have double rooms, and therefore double rooms will be a lower rate as compared to single rooms, because it's double occupancy and you have less of a physical space that you count your own. So this and we maintain it this way so that there is kind of enough options for people to choose according to their comfort level. Some people prefer double room, but some will insist on having single room, right? So that's one aspect. The other aspect is, in addition to the room rate, then the meal plan will come in. The meal plan is cheaper in the halls as compared to the residential colleges. Okay. I don't remember the exact pricing, and the difference has to go to the amount of selection that you have in your day-to-day meals that is on offer. Where so that's between the halls and the residential college. But on the other hand, both the residences, the PGPR as well as the UTR residences, as well as Pioneer House and Lighthouse, there will be no meal plan. So what you're paying essentially will be just the hostel fees.
And I think I saw in the Q&A, some students asked about applying for the bursaries of the halls and the residential colleges. Now, let me just reiterate again. Overall, if you are looking at the residential program bursary, residential college bursary, or the opportunity enhancement grant, all these three, you can apply from the Office of Admissions or Office of Financial Aid website. And this one, we accept application throughout the year. There's no deadline. We will always be there to support you. Then for students who are interested to apply the respective halls or respective residential colleges, scholarship or grants or bursary, you apply directly to that, then there is a timeline. And now I have not forgotten the very important, the food, the quality of food on campus. So I'll let Yaban comment about the food that he had in RERC. And then Natalia, you have no meal plan. So you talk about food in general on campus and what kind of food do we have? We all love food. So Yaban.
Okay, yeah, so I think the food in RCs should be the same across the board. For me, I think that actually the food is pretty good for the price that you're paying. So because you have breakfast and dinner included, so that actually saves a lot of time for us to go out and get our own food. So that's really a good point. I think the next one also is that there's actually a lot of opportunities for you to interact with fellow residential college friends when you're eating your food. So many times, like my OG mate, either from year 1 or the OG that OGL for year 2, or even some random IG groups, tend to go and have food together, and that's really how you build like the community spirit. And sometimes even when going to the dining hall, where you have a common meeting place for people, you might bump into someone and then you just strike up conversation. That's where you also make friends as well. So it's not just about the food, but I think it's also about the being able to consume food together in a communal place. And then on top of that, I think one testament is that I've also seen now with visitors being allowed back in RCs, I've seen my friends bring their friends to RCs for food as well. So you can already show that the food is quite good, and that people are coming in and bringing their friends in and having a nice meeting when they are eating their food together. Yeah,
I see. So Natalia, you want to tell us about all the good food on campus, or where do you have your meals? Actually, you stayed there on campus for 4 years without a meal plan.
So yeah, for me, I didn't want a meal plan because I enjoy the flexibility. So the different options I have, of course, there's like a lot of food options in NUS. So over here in Prince George's Park itself, there are 2 food courts already. So there's one aircon one and one outdoor one. And the food there is really great. So my friends eat there often. And then also within NUS in Utown, there's plenty of different food stalls to go to as well. Over there, there's 2 food courts as well, and other standalone stalls that sell, for example, ramen or Korean food. And it's all really, really good. And then there's also a lot of food options that are not within NUS but very nearby. So for example, there's this road along Clementi called Supper Stretch that a lot of NUS students go to. It's right outside Yusof and Thematic Hall. And a lot of them go down there for late night suppers, and it's very, very nearby, very accessible. So it's very easy to get food there as well. And then also I think what's special about the houses is that every level we have a pantry. So cooking is really very accessible and very easy. And I really enjoyed it a lot because then at any point in time, like 2 a.m., 3 a.m., me and my friends can just go to the pantry together and have supper because it's so easy to make. And then we can also cook together, bake together, and that's very fun as well.
That's great. That's wonderful. So like I said, let's move on to a slightly different angle, student life. Clubs and societies. So what are the different student organizations at NUS? Yaban, as NUSU president, I'm sure you're very familiar. So perhaps you can share with all our incoming students about that.
Yeah, so as mentioned, there's actually a lot of student groups, CCAs and interest groups in NUS. So it's quite hard for me to cover every single one. And I I cannot say that I know every single one on my hand. But actually, for all the year ones who are coming in, what I can direct you towards is actually a student life fair that will most likely happen on the second week of school. So that's when all the CCAs, interest groups will be having booths around school, organized by NUS, of course. And then that's where they will share with you about the some of the what they do as a group, what are some of the entrance requirements, or perhaps what are some of the procedures you need to do to enter the CCA. And that's where you can actually hear from the seniors at the booths to understand what there can be to be done. But I think broadly speaking, there are a few really large categories. You have your performing arts, you have your sports, and then you have all your cultural activities like dancers and things like that. So there are actually a lot to look forward to, and I think the best time to learn about that is during the Student Life Fair.
Very good. Yeah. And I think some students in the chat asked about orientation. I think they are really looking forward to to the university life already. So yeah, maybe since orientation actually straddle across the entire campus, it could be faculty level, it could be halls level, and clubs and society. So maybe Han Kiat, you can share with the students about orientation as a whole.
There's a lot to look forward to for orientation this year. For current students, both year 1, year 2, I should say year 3 inclusive, right? They will realize that, in the past few years, a lot of activities were really limited, and without a face-to-face orientation on the most part for the last 2 years, it has dampened the opportunity for students to get to know each other well, connected well before they commence on their academic learning. We are not sure what kind of long-term impact this may have, but we think this is an important aspect that needs to be addressed. So we are very happy that even as of now, we can already do a lot more for this coming orientation. For one, well, we can do face-to-face orientation, right? Unlike what we didn't get to do the last 2 years. And activities, games, and all the other social activities can resume within whatever guidelines, the prevailing guidelines that we have right now. And we also want to emphasize that students should try to see the entire first semester as the window of opportunity for orientation. Don't just view orientation as in a camp, a 4-day, 3-night camp, and that's it. Do consider that there is so many aspects to university life that you need to take time to experience and enjoy and have all these different kinds of new connections that you can make with one another through activities to spread out through the rest of the first semester. Therefore, look to your orientation camp simply as a starting point, and don't have to cram every single thing into that 4-day event. Okay, do as much as you can to get to know people, your seniors, and also have a network of support that can be accountable for each other. And then as that group continue to expand and try something else, some new CCA activities or some other ad hoc groups for the rest of semester 1. And not forgetting that even within your respective academic programs, your seniors in that program, as well as the mentors, even the academic mentors or the department at large, they may also put forth additional activities for you to enjoy. So we see the student life as a seamless transition from your academic life.
And of course, as part of student life, there will be opportunity for you to make friends, to hang out. So, so what are the various facilities on campus, and what are the nice places for students to like to go and relax, for example, and so let's hear from Natalia and Van, or what are the how do you get around on campus? Where can you study? Because the campus is huge, And like what Prof Ho said, past few years were COVID, campus was closed. Many of you may not even have a chance to visit the campus yet. So maybe we will let Natalia and Yap Van share a little bit about what are all the nice places on campus to study, to relax, and also the facilities that we can make use of. Yes, Natalia, please.
Okay, so answering from the aspect of where to study, I think there's a lot of different study spaces around in NUS. So I stay in Pioneer House. Over here in Pioneer House, we have study rooms itself for me to study in. Outside of here, so I come from FASS, so Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences. It's now known as College of Humanities and Sciences. So within the building itself, there are so many different like open spaces to study, different benches where you can just chill, hang out with your friends. Personally, I like going to the Central Library. So it's this library that has like many different floors, 6 floors if I'm not wrong. And then you can study there in a very conducive environment. And closer to exam timing, they extend opening hours until like 11 p.m. So you can stay there for longer and study more. So I think it's very good for studying. There's a lot of different spaces in NUS for studying. Places to relax, I really like Utown because Utown, the view is very nice, the greenery is very nice, and then like different food places to go with your friends, to take pictures, all that. It's very nice. There's also the NUS museums, and then there's also a lot of sports facilities as well. So there's the University Sports Center, there's like swimming pools, there's different courts and fields where you can play different sports in, and then there's gyms and all that. And then for me, I enjoy dance, so there's many different dance studios located around in NUS. So yeah, there's plenty of facilities, and I'm sure that you can find one that you like.
How about you, Yapan? What are your preferred places
I think
that you would recommend?
I think Natalia has done a good job sharing a lot of the common study spots. So I think I'll just hint some of the more secluded spots that you guys can go and explore yourself and discover as you explore the campus on your own. So some of the areas that are quite new. So for example, Techno Edge, the new canteen at engineering, on the top there's actually a Starbucks over there, and actually that place is very good for studying, also for chilling friends. And then just below it, there's also I think a Liho store that's also quite good for chilling with friends as well. And then if you go over to like Natalia said, Newtown, there's actually a lot of spots. The study one, there are like Mac Commons and PC Commons, which are really conducive for studying as well. And also like spots littered around with greenery where you can actually really sit down and chill. So again, there are a lot of these kind of little pockets of interesting spots around school. I think that I think it's really nice for the freshmen to come in and then explore this on their own and discover these things as you walk around campus. Yeah.
I noticed that as we talk more and more, I noticed that students are getting nearer and nearer in terms of matriculating to NUS. And I saw questions, initially I saw a question about how to choose modules, how to registration part 1, registration part 2. So maybe we will wrap up by having Natalia telling us about how she actually transit from registration to choosing modules. But I guess but the module registration and the choosing of modules has changed since your first year, and now the system is better. So and I think some students must have heard about the old system and were very worried. So maybe Natalia, you can be assuring to them,
Okay, so this module system, basically first you have to register online what course you're in, so that the system knows, oh, you're part of this course, and they would want to give you the modules that are required to clear your course. Because it's called academic declaration, yes. So for me, I will declare that. So for me, I'm a double major, sociology and social work. So I'll declare that I'm a sociology and social work major, so that I will be prioritized in the system to get sociology and social work modules. So when you're in year 1 and year 2, you tend to choose modules that are of a lower level to get more familiar with what your course is about. So level 1000 and level 2000 modules, 1K and 2K. So you tend to clear those in your year 1 and year 2. Then year 3 and year 4 is when you proceed to clear the higher level modules, so the 3K and the 4K modules. And you should check. So I think each faculty and whichever course you take, they will have a website where you can check what are the module requirements to fulfill. So that's very important. When you choose your course, you check what are the requirements, what are the different number of different courses, different modules you must fulfill.
Mhm.
So they will have a certain number of 1K modules that you must clear, a certain number of 2K, a certain number of 3K and 4K. And then there are some core modules. So these core modules are modules that you have to take in order to be able to graduate under your course. Then the rest of the other, once you finish your core modules, the other modules, you just fulfill the number. Okay, sorry, it sounds a bit complicated right now, but trust me, you get the hang of it when you enter. So after you finish your core modules, there are other modules that you can choose to take, whichever ones that interest you, to fulfill the rest of your requisites for your course. And then, so for me, I'm a double major, so I have to take all the modules that are within my course. But for other people, if you're just taking like one major, you can have the freedom to explore modules from other faculties or other courses. So they are called UEs. So you can have the freedom to explore with these UEs, to just take something that is of interest to you. And yeah, it can be from a different faculty. So yeah, I'm sorry if that was confusing, but you'll get the hang of it, trust me.
Yes, you will get the hang of it. Yes, I think Natalia has given a very good snapshot about what you will actually go through when you actually embark on this NUS journey. Not to worry, like what Natalia has said, all the faculties, they are against their faculty website. There will be step-by-step guide about what to do and things like that. And many faculties, like I'm sure Prof. Ho remembers that in the Faculty of Science, we even have students setting up a booth outside the undergraduate program office, giving advice to students about what to do about signing up for modules and things like that. So not to worry. And like Prof. Ho's department, pharmacy department, they have a lot of during orientation, they also tell students more about all these things. So no issue about that. So don't worry. And Yapan, you have any words of wisdom to share with our incoming students to wrap up this evening?
I think there's not really that much to say, except do look forward to coming into NUS. I think you all are coming in a pretty good time, because I hopefully, all fingers crossed, that the situation for COVID gets better, or at least is roughly similar, so that we can actually have as much face-to-face classes as possible and have as much physical activities in school as possible. And I think for someone who came into NUS in the midst of COVID, I think having seen some of the activities that really have more people on campus again really makes me excited for what's to come in the coming semester. And I think you guys would really enjoy your time here in NUS. I hope that you guys will actually step out of comfort zone, try to make some new friends, enjoy your time here. Don't just, always fight for the grades. Try to make the 4 years worth it. Yeah.
Good. And of course, I will reserve the last word for this Q&A session to Prof. Ho. Yes.
Well, I think I will stay true to what I said earlier, that I believe residential life is more than a good to have, but it can be a game changer for tertiary education, because this opens up a totally new platform for you to engage with one another differently. So many alumni who have graduated and have come back to say that, if they are, the one thing that they will remember about university life is actually the campus life, especially when they stay on campus. And many of the values that you may not see right away, intangible values, but you will experience and you'll come to see the benefit only years later. I do believe that each of you, as long as you are committed to a place of your choosing, okay, not by any compulsion, but by your choosing based on your inclination, and enjoy the activity to the level of your interest, I think there will be a lot for you to gain. So choose wisely, but go with what your heart tells you.
Thank you. Thank you, Prof. Ho. And thank you, Prof. Ho. Thank you, Natalia. And thank you, Yaban. And now I'll pass the time back to Grace.
Thank you, Prof. Goh, Prof. Ho, Natalia, and Yatban for sharing your experiences, insights, and sound advice. I hope they have managed to answer your questions and clarify your doubts. So with that, we have come to the end of the session. Thank you very much for joining us, and we hope that this webinar session has been helpful. If you have any further questions, please send them through our Ask Admissions website. You may also visit the Office of Student Affairs portal for more information regards to residential and student life matters. So we will append these links shortly. We greatly appreciate if you could take a few minutes to fill up a feedback form. You may scan the QR code or access the link that we have shared in the chat board. Your feedback is important to us, and please let us know how we can improve. So thank you once again. My colleagues and I look forward to warmly welcoming you to NUS. Have a great evening ahead. Bye-bye.